Look at it. She bought that. Period.
What's the craziest conspiracy theory you think about, but you wouldn't tell nobody?
Conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
You got one tapped in? Craziest conspiracy theory.
I can't.
Pizzagate. They all did that shit. They got the island. Yeah. Bill Gates. Goddamn. The first lady. Goddamn the Trump. Yeah. All of them. They tapped in.
Hey, Mike, what's your worst breakup story?
My worst breakup story? I caught him in bed cheating. I whooped that.
Oh man. That's sad.
Hey.
All right, next question. What's heavier, a pound of pillows or a pound of pennies?
A pound of pennies.
Pound of pennies. This is the last one.
He can't even say it. He's getting down.
I'm not going to answer that question.
Welcome to the New Normal Podcast, a place where we say what everyone is thinking. I want to tell y'all before we get started, make sure y'all like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow the channel, share the channel. We got a good show tonight for y'all. And if y'all seen the title, it says Black people love abortion. And the reason I put it there is because we're going to talk about abortion and all the other degenerate stuff that Black people try to hold on so dearly to, because in our community we like degeneracy. We like women telling us they coochie pink and they booty hole brown. We like, women with multiple baby daddies. You can't speak against that. As in our community, the Black community, women trick men and tell men that, you're a brave and strong individual if you take me on and you see I got 4 kids and 8 baby daddies. You're strong for that. You're smart for that, because I may catch. My mom used to always tell me, why would you want it if that nigga ain't want him? She used to always tell me that. Why would you want it if that nigga don't want her? I've had actual conversations with women who have children, and they would tell me, I hope the man that I talk to or date have children already, because I'm not having any more children. And then in my mind, I'm saying, why would he want to date you? Why would he want to be with you if you already have children? And I'm from the South, from Birmingham, Alabama, and I'm pretty sure y'all have heard this statement from other women, and probably your grandmama or your mama. They said, why would you want to get with a woman that got a ready-made family? I used to always tell them, why do you want to get with a woman with a ready-made family? I want to tell y'all what we're going to be doing today. We're going to watch this Breakfast Club interview with Larry Elder. Now, if you don't know who Larry Elder is, he's would say he's a Black conservative and he's running for president. And the thing while we're doing this is to show how us as Black people hold on to degeneracy so bad, we don't even know how to talk to a presidential candidate. This is a real thing. Y'all are going to see the Breakfast Club in the manner that they talk to a presidential candidate. But when the white man, Joe Biden, got up there, how all of the Black people had the most decorum possible. But as soon as it's a Black man that thinks differently or out the box, now that's an issue, because we all know that niggas want to keep Black folks on the plantation with them. And I'm going to say this, there's going to come a time where Black people and niggas going to have a big separation. I know y'all don't like classism in the Black community. We don't like the idea that someone thinks that they're better than the other person, but it is a such thing as people being better than you. There are lifestyles that are better. There are things in life that are better. You know the difference between being in a $100,000 car and a $20,000 car. It rides different. It feels different. The bitch smell different when you buy it. So yeah, there is a such thing as classism, and we need to accept it. But in our community, everybody has to be down. You have to be with it. You have to, I was dating women, a lot of women at the time, and it seems like they told me the same thing when I had this talk about abortion. They would always say, 1 in 4 women are going to have abortions, right? Basically telling me that I'm more than likely going to talk to or date somebody that has had an abortion. And I'm like, do you understand what you're saying? You're basically telling me you're like all of the other women. This is wild and crazy to say this. One thing about it in our community, the Black community, is, especially when it comes to music, women, it's easier to target women because most women IQ levels are in the same range. With men, it's all throughout the spectrum. You have the 50th geniuses there are, all the way down to the niggas that can't read in prison. Like, it's a wide spectrum, but pretty much with women, they can target women all in the same demographic type thinking, because most women IQ are in the same range. You can look this up. I'm not just saying this. Like, the first 50 men in the IQ range is typically men, right? So when it comes to targeting people, that's why in our community it's easy to target women with the rap music that we have. You gotta understand why. It has to be a point where we just look at stuff and be like, it got to be a conspiracy theory now. Not a theory. It got to be a conspiracy to attack Black people, especially with the music that's going on. When you look at Suki Hunter, Sexy Red, Glorilla, these people aren't selling out shows. They might do club performances, but why are these people still in the front of our faces? Why is a Sexy Red with some of the biggest names right now? Sometimes people are industry plants and don't even know that they're industry plants. She was with Drake. Now she has a picture with Jason Tatum. She talking about she had STD, and we seen how people were acting at Mocha Fest and all the STDs they were getting. Or the studies that came out in New York and Houston about how syphilis on the rise, and most people don't know. As soon as your body's been, contracted some type of STD, HIV is soon to follow after that, because your body's more susceptible after that. This is what's going on in our community. We're always sex crazed, and I want to say I don't know how we got to the point that we are, because in our community, the Black community, they used to siphon bullshit through our community to see if it go, because if Black people go for it, then everybody would go for it. We were always the test dummies. If Black people go for it, everybody would go for it. Because I was just still thinking about when I was younger, and I would hear older Black men talk about how they would have to go to white women to get their dick sucked because Black women weren't sucking dick. And then a few years later, I hear women on interviews and stuff talking about how Black women on interviews talking about how they had to suck dick because they didn't want their men being lost to white women. So now everybody around here just sucking dick. This is a thing that's going on in our community, where it was a time where the whole idea of going to church was never come as you are. You are supposed to come to church to leave as a renewed person, but we have this thing will come as you are, to where people can sit comfortably in church, and people wonder why people are leaving the body of Christ at an extreme rate. It was a time where I remember going to church, and Black churches especially, where people would dress up suited, what they call it, suited and booted. But when I started going to non-denominational churches or integrated churches, that's when you start seeing a lot of people wearing shorts, the white people, flip-flops, they would wear hats in church. All of that was forbidden to do in church itself, unless you were a woman wearing your big church hat. You can't even go and sit in front of the president if you're not dressed properly. And they used to tell us, well, if you have to sit in front of the president a certain manner, then you definitely should dress up and present yourself to God in a certain way when you come to church. This is what we were taught growing up. I'm from the South. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama, and I say this all the time. I'm a PK, and I have a strong background in church. So a lot of stuff that I see in today's society is weird, to say the least. Right? It's getting to the point now where y'all make so much of a mockery of church. It's looking a lot like this.
Times are fly, my beats are sick, my crew is big and it keeps getting bigger. That's cause Jesus Christ is my nigga. Ooh. Now I'ma pass the mic to my lovely wife. She's a fly MC and the light of my life. So to bust the rhyme without further ado, take it away, Mary Sue.
Jesus Christ is my nigga. I don't get mad and I don't critique. I forgive him and turn the other cheek.
Jesus Christ is our nigga. Let his light shine through ya. Let his love pop a cap in your butt and say hallelujah. Jesus Christ is our nigga. He's our homie MC JC. You see, he's an honest, caring, peace-loving nigga like me.
How y'all treat God. Y'all treat God just like y'all niggas, right? Y'all really do. But we're going to play parts of this Larry Elder interview. I got some timestamps I want to talk about. But the first one I want to talk about is this one.
And sell them? What do you call that?
But what about, when you tell women what to do with their bodies?
Well, that is a moral issue. I happen to be pro-life, and I believe that that abortion is a sin. That's not telling women what to do with their body. That's expressing my opinion about whether or not it is right or it is wrong. For example, there is a guy right now behind bars in Philadelphia named Dr. Kermit Gosnell.
Mm-hmm.
He is an abortion doctor who performed late-term abortions. When I ask people who consider my position to be extreme, I ask them, tell me at what point do you believe pregnancy has gone so far that to terminate the unborn would be homicide? And almost nobody will give you an answer. So in other words, what you're really telling me then is this guy, Dr. Kermit Gosnell, should be set free. He's a political prisoner. He was persecuted unfairly. If you won't tell me when you think at what point a pregnancy cannot be terminated unless it's homicide, then to me, you're essentially allowing women to kill the unborn, no matter how old that unborn is. And I think that's wrong. The other thing, Charlamagne, real quickly on this issue, it'd be one thing if the pro-life community was not talking the talk and walking the walk. But there are literally thousands of pregnancy centers all over America, whether it's funding for adoption services, funding for housing, funding for education, funding for job training, to let women know they have alternatives. And every state will decide this. The government shouldn't be passing some sort of law one way or the other regarding abortion. Every state's going to decide that. I'm in California, which is a deep blue state. There have been 2 initiatives to restrict abortion. I voted in favor of them. I was overwhelmingly defeated. And when abortion has been put on the ballot in recent years, the people that wanted abortion restrictions have lost.
Mm-hmm.
The American people pretty much have said, first-term abortions, they want them to be legal. Late-term abortions, they don't want them to be legal. I happen to disagree with that, but I'm willing to live in a society that has a different point of view than I have on this issue.
Can you have a real democracy if you're taking away people's power of choice? If you're taking away people's power to choose and not giving them any option.
Well, if you consider it to be a crime, that some sort of law one way or the other regarding.
Let me let y'all hear that again. Listen to Charlamagne and how dumb Charlamagne is. I'm finna play this part and I'm gonna talk to y'all about it.
Regarding abortion, every state's going to decide that. I'm in California, which is a deep blue state. There have been 2 initiatives to restrict abortion. I voted in favor of them. I was overwhelmingly defeated. And when abortion has been put on the ballot in recent years, the people that wanted abortion restrictions have lost.
Mm-hmm.
The American people pretty much have said, first-term abortions, they want them to be legal. Late-term abortions, they don't want them to be legal. I happen to disagree with that, but I'm willing to live in a society that has a different point of view than I have on this issue.
Can you have a real democracy if you're taking away people's power of choice? If you're taking away people's power to choose and not giving them any option.
Well, if you consider it to be a crime, that abortion is a sin, in my opinion, you're not taking people's right to choose. You're making a moral statement about what's right and what's wrong.
There's a lot of sins, though. Sex before marriage is a sin. I'm sure you did some of that.
As for the sins of my past, either the Lord has forgiven me or the statute of limitations have run out. I'm making a joke about that. A lot of people, of course, make mistakes.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is what I want to say. Abortion is stupid, and I'm gonna tell y'all why. There are so many different contraceptives out there that we don't even need to have abortion right now. And you got to ask yourself, y'all women out here having sex with men that y'all got to abort their babies. Just think about that. You are literally having sex with people and you have to kill their baby. The thing I don't like about this abortion argument, typically when it comes to our community, they always want to use religion to suffice as a good argument on morality, if it's right or wrong. I don't think that's a good argument. I don't think that's a good place to stand. One reason I'm gonna tell y'all why that's not a good argument, a good place to stand, is because we already know most of these women know they're going to hell, so they're trying to take you to hell with them. Have y'all not seen how they do and treat the children that they decide to have. Have y'all not seen the little girl that's going viral, can't be no more than 3 or 4 or 5 years old, and she's in her romper, and she's got the little stands going on with her little 2 fingers up doing the peace sign, and the rumpers all up in her cootie pop, just like you will see on the IG models. This is what they're doing to the kids that they want to have. I'm going to tell y'all why religion is a horrible idea once again, because most of these women know they're going to hell and they're trying to take as many people as they can because misery loves company. People ain't in church like that no more to even use that argument. The argument should simply be abortion is murder. Point blank, period. In our community, we love abortion. The reason we love abortion, because if you scroll down Instagram, all you see is black women with their ass to the camera trying to be sexy. That's all they care about. All they care about is WAP and who got the big Peter whackers. They want to tell people how good they cootie pop is, and you should come and get some, and who baby daddy they sleeping with, and all of this. This is what our community has been reduced to. Sex, and more sex. And I understand why, I understand why a lot of people are in our community democratic, because they want to have sex. A lot of people living in a medicated reality. They are trying to fuck the pain away. Women and men in the black community try to live through their cootie pop and their Peter whacker, right? Because they ain't got nothing else going for. And then when it seems like they get serious about the issue, it's always race. They never talk about money. They never talk about anything like that. But race, oh, but you best believe they gonna go hard for that race topic. And I tell y'all all the time, racism is a billion-dollar industry. Even the pro-black extremists, they make a lot of money off telling y'all that white people racist and white supremacy and systematic oppression and systematic racism. They make a lot of money off of it, and they pander to it. And you know why they do it? Because they can get cootie pop and they can get money. Because if y'all notice, most of the people that still push a lot of black power and white supremacy is black women. Black women are the main ones. And guess what? They're the main ones that benefit from white people, especially white men. Black women benefit the most from white men, and they sit there and tell you that white people are racist. When you walk into these companies and looking at the desk, it's black women. Your IRS, when you go to the IRS, you're going to see black women. When you go to these restaurants, fast food restaurants, who you gonna see? A black bitch with a bad attitude, but black women. You always go, like I said, they always saying this, but the main people that's feeding you and putting food in your mouth, you talk bad about them. Do you know when it comes to abortion, one day makes a difference if the baby is alive or not? One day. At 25 weeks and 6 days, I can kick this bitch down the steps and the baby dies. I won't be charged for that. One more day after that, 26 weeks. I kicked the bitch down the steps. Now they can charge me with murder. This is how crazy this whole abortion thing is, because people like to play semantics with the word. Is it a fetus, an embryo, with the womb, all of this type of stuff? It's just a stage of life, because abortion is murder. It's termination of life. If you can't kill anything, a human being legally, why would we start in the womb? You got to think about this. Women are able to give their children up for adoption and not have to pay anything. But y'all, and when I say y'all, black men have to pay abortion for children that you didn't even want. Y'all have to pay money for children that y'all didn't even want. This is how crazy and illogical a lot of this stuff is. And the thing about it is, I don't even blame the women for doing what they do, because when y'all start talking about the white man this, the white man that, I can't do better everywhere I turn, I don't know how to escape from the white man, and then y'all wonder why that black woman, after you get her pregnant, use the white man to beat up on you in the court systems. The white man is attacking me. Systematic oppression. And I tell people, I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. Birmingham is a fucking black mecca. Mayor, superintendent, city councilman, police force, the people in it, you typically your teachers, the student body. It's a black mecca. There is no reason for anybody around this bitch to be talking about the white supremacy. And then y'all love to talk about, well, it's just black people in these places and they still perpetuating the same system that they're a part of. Well, if that's the case, then how do we win? How do we get out of this? Because if that's the case, they don't have to abide by a lot of the rules and stuff that's implemented or in place if they care about black people. But we know most black people don't care about black people. We know this. This is how black people on the Breakfast Club talk to presidential candidates, black folks. When that white man came on there running for president, they was on their best fucking behavior. And this shit pisses me off so bad because I hate to see how black men get intimidated by white men when it comes to race. A lot of y'all are so pussy, and it is ridiculous. Y'all be scared to talk. Y'all be fumbling over shit. Y'all be stuttering over words. Y'all can't look the man in the damn eye when he talking to you. I done seen that there are plenty of jobs when the boss man come here, got a stiffen. Like, what the fuck? Like, if you ain't doing nothing wrong, then why we working? Hey, don't be talking. I don't know. We grown as fuck. We can talk at work. What the fuck? Like, when it comes to this whole abortion topic, women go get abortions like it's a nigga hanging off a truck throwing out turkeys on Thanksgiving. Like, it's that bad. Like, the abortion clinic got free before 11. Bitches come get them in our community. And when it comes to math, y'all be so slow. And I'm very good at math. That's always been my strongest subject. This word fucks y'all up so bad when we have these conversations. It's called rate. RATE, rate, or the odds that something will happen to you. Y'all always mix up how many people doing it compared to the rate. Always. And in our community, the rate at which black women get abortions is crazy, since black women probably make up 6 million people in America. The same as when people are talking about black on black crime, y'all act retarded. Well, we know people kill each other in the same vicinity. But how do black men make up 6 million people in the world, in America, and still make up 50% of the homicides in America? So there is a difference when they say black on black crime is a thing, because why are y'all such a small group of people committing such a large percentage of something? And y'all like to say, oh, the system again. Here come the system. I get it. The first part of identifying a problem, solving a problem, is identifying it. So if y'all say it's the system, why do y'all keep putting your hands in these white folk? Why do y'all keep putting your lives in these white folks' hands? The stuff that we can't control, we don't even try to control, like procreation. Bitch, ain't nobody tell you lay on your back and open your legs up. Nobody. But here you go again, doing it again. And then we like to have the argument that nobody tries to be a baby mama. Oh, you mean the bitch over there that got 7 kids and 12 baby daddies? She wasn't trying to be a baby mama. She's repeating this cycle over and over. And like I tell y'all, a lot of women, fellas, be careful. A lot of women are using y'all as sperm donors. This is the other side of it. If they don't abort it, they might be looking at you as you're a good buck to procreate with. You light skinned enough. You masculine enough. You have the frame that she likes enough. So she'll let you come over there and skeet it up and then put you on child support and kick you out when she's going through pregnancy. She surely would. That's why I used to always be confused on why women used to say, well, after I had the baby, I didn't know who he was. Yeah, because you was pregnant longer than y'all was in a relationship. Or you was the side chick, he got pregnant. Or you let your side dude get you pregnant. And I get it. And this is my thing is it's not a genuine argument for abortion. Like if you was real about it and say, look, I was in a fucked up situation. I had to kill it because I wasn't finna take care of no kid. It's like that's kind of more like, okay, I get it. Because we can't lie and say bad situations don't make people do bad things. That's an understandable idea. If you're back against the wall, shit fucked up, sometimes you're looking for out in a fucked up situation. And sometimes it's to get out of fucked up situation, you got to do something even more fucked up to get out of it. We get it. We understand certain times, circumstances, and the idea of lack of better options presents other things that people feel or avenues where people feel like they have to get out or do to get out of those situations. So I understand it. You might say he was broke, I was broke. Cool. I understand that. You don't want to bring a child in the world because you can't pay for it. But why are you having sex? Old women used to say a wet ass and a dry purse don't go together. That's what I used to hear. That's what I used to hear when it comes to this topic on women just out here having sex. But women tell us they can do what we do. They can have sex like we do and all of this because of feminism and how they know sexually driven the black woman is, because we know the black woman has to get her fix. Because, like I said, in our community, most people are living in a medicated reality. They either high, they either drunk, they either want to have sex, they either popping pills, they either addicted to the internet. They're always addicted to something. Shopping. It's always something because a lot of people don't like themselves. And then a lot of y'all out here trauma bonding with people. Excuse me. A lot of y'all out here trauma bonding with people. So of course, you don't want to bring that demon seed in here. You been molested, he been molested. Y'all talked about it, and then y'all thought it was a good idea. We should have sex. Then you get pregnant by the nigga that ain't resolved his molestation, and you ain't resolved yours. And you like, nah, I can't bring this little demon child, this renegade in here. We understand that. That's an understandable idea. But my thing is, it's all this shit is preventable. Preventable. And the thing is, why we just can't call abortion a genocidal tactic? We know that black women like to want to be like white women so bad. So white woman made abortion, and black women had to run to the clinic and get one because she said black people were like weeds and need to be exterminated. We know that black women seen that a white woman made abortion, so they had to run and get it. If y'all ain't seen my video when Rebecca Lynn Pope was talking about, I wonder is this what a white woman feels like, because black women are infatuated with being like white women. Have y'all watched They Clone Tyrone? Y'all seen a part in that movie when the women were putting the perms in their hair? The women were putting perms in their hair, and as they were putting perms in their hair, they got excited and they were feeling good about themselves as they were putting these perms in their hair, because now your hair is finna become a state that is naturally not. You're finna look more Europeanized. And we can't act like Pam Grier wasn't a sex symbol and looked like a black woman. Had the afro, one of the sexiest women alive. Y'all can't act like women ain't putting whole new faces on themselves to try to look. You're trying to contour your nose because you want your nose to look like the nose they knocked off the Sphinx. Oh my God. That's what you're trying to. Now you're trying to contour your nose so it'll look like the damn the nose they knocked off the Sphinx. You wanted it to look smaller and longer and pointier. So what the fuck y'all doing? Gluing shit down to the front of y'all head, looking like clowns and shit. Come on, we can't act like a lot of this stuff ain't weird. Y'all braiding hair down to look like a whole new person. Y'all mean to tell me That's why I say, fellas, y'all need to start lifestyle fishing these hoes. Every time you meet a girl and they take her hour and a half to get ready, that means you need to start posting pics acting like you were in the Bahamas. Just get you a green screen and just act like you always gone somewhere. That's all you gotta do. Just act like, oh, look, I'm on the balcony at the beach. That's all you gotta do. Just lifestyle fish. Because if they gonna be fake, you gotta up the score too. If she can go and everything be plastic, her ass, her titties, her lip fillers, her hair fake, her eyelashes fake, everything fake, you gotta up the score too. Like I said, our community, we love genocide. We love to kill everything in our community, everything that was good in our community. And the church allowed a lot of the shit to go on because they infiltrated the black church, because that's where we got a lot of our news from. That's when we knew the KKK was finna ride, but everybody want to get rid of the church. And I ain't saying get rid of the church in the sense of get rid of the church or you don't have to go to the church in the sense of religion, but that's where we was the best because we was community building. The church was community building. Now we don't believe in community. Like I told y'all, Carly Russell called on the damn community when she went missing. And then as soon as her ass came home, she gonna tell the community to shut the fuck up and don't ask me no questions. That's the community.
And I think that people should.
Let's talk about this one.
Them of undermining our republic, and they're not undermining our republic. They're complaining about an election. You have a right to do so.
I know you probably got to go. Have you ever heard of the term "nigga wake up call"?
No.
It is an incident where a person of color forgets that they are of color and are reminded.
This is how us as black people have been reduced down to letting these type of people talk to presidential candidates. You asked a presidential candidate about a nigga moment. Okay, let's continue.
Reminded rather brutally by an unexpected act of racism. Have you ever had any of those?
Oh, brother.
I'm just asking. You think you've ever?
Well, I'm acutely aware, Charlemagne, that I'm a black person, just as you are a black person. And when Joe Biden insulted you by saying, you ain't really black, we don't know whether or not you want to vote for me or vote for Donald Trump, it seems to me that should have been a wake-up call on your part. How dare this guy come in here and insult you, a black man, and tell you you got to think a certain kind of way? I'm amazed.
I love that response because he showed let that white man come in there and tell him what he believes and how Charlemagne should vote. And you know how stupid you got to be to go and vote for the man and tell you ain't black. Like I told y'all can get this motherfucking black card because all it come with is drama, fights, love and hip hop type relationships, baby mama, baby daddy shit, child support, high cholesterol, diabetes. And no, I don't want to talk about white people because they ain't invite me to the cookout. They ain't invite me to the cookout, and I ain't trying to invite them to the cookout either. If we cross paths, we cross paths. But y'all always trying to, oh, look at that white boy over there dancing. We're going to invite him to the cookout. Oh, that white boy got swag. We're going to invite him to the cookout. Oh, we're going to get him the patch and say, my nigga. Oh, you're invited to the cookout. It don't take so. It takes very little to impress black people when you white. Very little to impress black people when you white. I remember listening to white guys in high school talk about how easy it was to fuck black chicks. I remember this in high school vividly, how they talk about how easy it is to fuck black women. And we already know why.
But you weren't mad about that.
I'm not gonna say it upset me, just like I'm not letting you upset me. You know what I mean? I don't tend to get upset over things like that. But what I did say,
well, you just not talk about a nigga wake up call, and it seemed to me that should have been a wake up call on your part to have a white guy come in here who also said, by the way, about Mitt Romney, because he didn't want to put more regulations on Wall Street, going to put y'all back in chains. And Joe Biden has lied for decades about his civil rights record, claiming that he desegregated movie theaters and restaurants in Wilmington, Delaware, when he didn't do any of that. He lied and said that he tried to visit Nelson Mandela during apartheid South Africa. He did not. And he came in here and told you aren't even black unless you think a certain kind of way. It seemed to me that should have been a nigga wake-up call for you, but it wasn't, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, no, for the record, I'm not a Democrat or Republican.
I didn't say you were.
Yeah, I think both.
I don't know what you are. I never even.
And he can't even argue that point. That point is when I knew that they were really controlled by a certain party or a certain idea. I knew that, and that's what that moment when he didn't check him, I was like, oh, there it is. And it's blatant in our face. And I tell black people this all the time. How do y'all say y'all stuck on one party? That's weird. I have grown men telling me, listen to this. This is how stupid it is. So I'm in the trucking industry. Grown men was telling me they feelings were hurt and Trump was racist, all this whoop de whoop. And they was all getting their information from the media, right? They ain't sit down and talk to the man whoop de whoop. But all they needed to see was a couple of clips where he didn't say nothing racist. He said a lot of real shit, but he racist, right? But they go out here and vote. Listen to me now. I'm in the trucking industry. They go and vote Democratic, right? And the Democrats have been telling everybody they want to go for clean energy, EVs and shit like that. But you drive diesel fucking trucks. You're going to vote for somebody that's finna put you out of work, dumbass, because you think a nigga racist? I don't give a flying fuck if y'all thought he was racist or not. What does your pocket say? Now you upset because when you go to the grocery store and the gas pump, that shit beat you up every day. And now you struggling and shit and wonder why your bitch don't want to give you no pussy. You struggling every day because you got mad about a nigga talking about he racist. Nigga, I don't give a flying fuck. He could have got on that bitch and said something a racist, the more nigga this, nigga that. Nigga, what is my pockets talking about? Y'all don't even talk about real shit. And then y'all say y'all want to make changes, but we don't have the economic resources to make changes. But then y'all go and vote over y'all feelings? Come on, dog. This shit can't. Don't say y'all wasn't voting. Most people say I'm voting for Biden because I hate Trump. What?
I haven't asked you about your party affiliation.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, but you are black. And to have a white guy come in here and tell you have to say think a certain kind of way, otherwise you quote ain't black. Wow.
How should I have replied to him, you think?
What I just now said, how dare you insult me and tell me I think as a human being, let alone as a black person? I don't tell you how to think, Joe Biden. How dare you come in here and tell me how I should think? I'm going to vote for Donald Trump if I want to vote for Donald Trump. And if I want to vote for Donald Trump, it does not make me not black. 20% of black people, black men, as I said, voted for Donald Trump in 2020. Are they not black now? So only 80% of black people, black men walking around are really black, 20% are not because they voted for Donald Trump. How insulting is that? How condescending is that?
I mean.
Yeah, and that's what they were saying, that when it came out that so many black men voted for Donald Trump, they were trying to say that black men and black women don't like each other because black men decided to vote. A lot of black men decided to vote in the opposite way of what most black women decided to vote. That is scary to think that you're trying to take my black card because I vote differently. Black people aren't a monolith, and we should not be. Black people aren't a monolith, and we should not be. And I'm going to be real with y'all. Both parties have done racist things and stuff to hurt black people. You should be voting for your house, not your feelings, especially as men. But a lot of men raised by their bitch ass mama, and their mama's going to be Democrat, and their mama going to tell them about racism. Because most of the people that I know that are raised in 2-parent households are pretty well-rounded and ain't big on racism like that. It's always a nigga that I meet. I always talk about racism, and he came from a single mother home. His mama had two or more kids by different daddies, and he Democratic because of that shit. I'm telling you, this shit is down to a T. Typically, most of the people that I know that come from two-parent households aren't democratic like that. In the black community, why do you think so many people in the black community vote Democratic? Because of that same idea. And I don't even know how us as black people got so far with all this gay shit and trans shit, and we want to support. Well, I know how we got it because we weak as hell.
You're probably right, but I didn't take it in that way.
Well, I did.
As I said to him in that moment, it's just about me wanting something for my people, and I want to know what is he going to do for my people, and not only for my people now. How are you going to atone for the things you've done to my people?
Right.
That's it.
Right. And this is a guy.
What you mean atone for the things you done? If you let him get up there and say that, and you knew his record before he got there, and you didn't think to check that, all the racist shit Joe Biden has did. And then y'all like to say this as black people. This is what y'all like to say. Well, his intentions was good. Well, y'all will be in the club with a nigga, and a nigga intentions is strictly just to walk past you, and he step on your shoe, and now you want to kill the nigga. This is really the black community. Y'all will talk about every time it come to a white man or people that you don't like or people you do like, y'all always make concessions for certain people, but y'all never stick to anything. Y'all never one way. Y'all hypocrisy. Y'all be hypocrites like a motherfucker. Well, his intentions was good when he made the crime bill. Bitch, how so? How? How can you even rationalize his intentions was good? Okay.
Joe Biden, who, when he first got into the Senate, hung out with segregationists, talked about how well he got along with them, talked about how he didn't want integration because of a jungle. This guy has made all sorts of insulting things to black people, and his policies right now are hurting black people. Inflation hurts the people at the bottom more than anything else. Letting a bunch of illegal aliens into the border are hurting black people more than anybody else, as I said earlier. He opposes school choice when he has his own kids in private school, and we lost a year, almost 2 years of in-school education in California because of COVID that he supported. I mean, this guy has done monstrous things to black people, and then for him to come in here and tell you how you ought to think as a black person, it blew my mind.
As a person objectively who doesn't care about either party, when I just take a step back and I just look at everything that's happening.
Oh, now you don't care about either party. And it's sad. It's one man and three people against him. And intellectually, he's running circles around them. They like to say that he's the face of white supremacy, the black face of white supremacy. But look at the black people and what the black people are trying to go for. Look at that. Charlemagne literally said, why are you taking people's rights away? And what if I would have said, well, let me shoot you in the face? Boy, why are you trying to take my rights away? I should be able to do that.
I see one party that seems still committed to democracy somewhat, and one party who's headed fast towards fascism. That's just my personal opinion. So who do you think I would vote for?
Well, let's talk about fascism, since I assume you're talking about election denying. In 2000, when George W. Bush won the election over Al Gore, the Democrats, the first week of January 2001, tried to overturn the results in Florida. 2004, George W. Bush gets reelected. Democrats, including Benny Thompson, the chair of the January 6th committee, Jamie Raskin, a member of the January 6th committee, joined with 28 other House Democrats and Senator Barbara Boxer to overturn the results in Ohio, claiming without any evidence the Debo voting machine had been hacked. 2016, January 2017, Democrats challenged more states trying to get the election overturned that elected Donald Trump. Then Donald Trump challenged first week of January in 2021. Nobody accused them of undermining our republic. Nobody accused them of being fascists. They exercised whatever means they could to try to win the election. I want to remind you that Hillary Clinton advised Joe Biden during the 2020 election, if it is a close election, quote, do not concede under any circumstances, close quote. Donald Trump used whatever legal means he could, advancing some novel legal theories to try to stay in office, and he failed. But I don't blame him for trying.
Yeah, but it's not just election denying; it's the disdain of women and fear of non-standard gender identities and sexual orientation.
Listen to this man, Charlemagne the God, read off all of the things that no nigga really gives a fuck about. These are liberal talking points, and they're using black people to push them. Because, like I told y'all, black people typically was the moral compass of America. When the black people went left, they went all the way with it. And it ain't no reeling this shit back in. It is over for us as black people. I'm gonna tell you, it's over for us. It's done. Stick a fork in it. Ain't no coming back. We're not gonna get better as people. We're only gonna get worse. I'm telling y'all, it is over for us. And I want to tell you guys, if you are like-minded like me, get out the way of these women. When they want you to fight their battles, when they're calling you to come and shoot up somebody, when they're calling you to fight somebody, when they're calling you to protect them, get out of the way, because we know that a lot of women like to call men to fight their battles with other men, because a lot of men are stupid. A lot of men don't get no cootie pop. This is just the life we live. How many? Just think about Travis Rudolph. That's a prime situation. Was on trial because we on the ring camera. She beat him up, and she was married. This woman was married and called 4 men to this man's house. Luckily, he got the drop on them and killed one of them, I think. And I'm glad he killed them.
Disdain
it's
for
the
women.
galvanizing of popular rage against cultural elites. It's nationalism based on dominant, superior race and historic bloodlines. Like there's a lot of things that Republicans are doing.
Well, what about Joe Biden going to Howard University as he did recently, giving a commencement speech, Charlemagne, and he said the number one threat to the homeland was white supremacy. Really? The
FBI said that.
The Anti-Defamation League keeps track of how many people are killed by extremists, no matter the race of the extremists, every year. Last year, there were 25. As I said, in 2020, there were 11,000 blacks who were murdered, almost all murdered by other people, not murdered by white extremists. It's a lie to say white extremists it's a big problem in America. It's a lie. It's what Democrats do to get black people angry.
The FBI said that.
It's what Democrats.
Fine.
I don't agree with that. The number one threat to the homeland is a large number of people who are engaging in criminal activity. And what Democrats do is tell black people racism, racism, racism. They trot out David Duke or some other facsimile every 4 years to tell black people, vote for us, because after all, we're the party of racial justice, social justice, and equity. And these dastardly people over there, these Republicans, are the party of Jim Crow and slavery, even though it was the Democratic Party that was the party of Jim Crow and slavery.
So why should black people rock with the GOP then? Like, what are the reasons?
Economics. I had Tavis Smiley and Cornel West on my radio show once.
Period. Eco-fucking-nomics. I don't got to hear nothing else. And people are like, well, they're always going for the rich people. The rich people are just going to get more tax breaks. Well, nigga, if they eating good, they give back a lot of fucking money, even if that's a tax break, and you still get to eat good. Eat better than what you've been eating. Trump told y'all before he got out of office that gas was going to double. And what the fuck did it do? Have y'all not been paying attention to what's going on in this economy? And I know niggas, here come the niggas. Yo, well, that's the results of the last administration. Nigga, really? It hasn't had time to set in. So is our economy good? Was our economy good or not when Trump was in office? Was that Obama or was it not? How far do these administration shit go back? Do we go back to Bush and we still feeling effects from him? Because now I thought when presidents come in, they sign executive orders to overturn a lot of shit that other presidents do. Just like Biden went in there to overturn that pipeline that was supposed to get built. And a lot of them men lost their jobs. But it's weird to say. And I just started realizing how they even do unemployment numbers. If you're unemployed for a certain amount of time, after a while, they don't even count you as unemployed. So when they cycle these numbers, that you may not even be counting in unemployment because you've been unemployed for like 6 months. Economics is the reason you should vote for GOP. And now, like I said, I don't even understand why black people are loyal to a party if you're not getting anything for your vote. That's why I say I don't vote. I don't vote. I don't give a fuck because I don't think any candidate that I heard has given anything worth me getting up out of my bed or sitting in the line and going down in the vote. Nobody.
On Charlemagne. And I told Tavis and Cornel West that under Ronald Reagan, Black adult unemployment fell faster than white adult unemployment. Black Hispanic unemployment fell faster than did white unemployment. Black teenage unemployment fell faster than did white teenage unemployment. Black businesses were created at a rate faster. Their revenues grew at a rate faster. And they both told me that I was wrong and that they would have the data on my desk by Monday. That was 15 years ago. I know the mail is slow, but it seems to me they should have given it to me by now. Again, Donald Trump presided over the best economy ever for Black people, lowest unemployment. And it seems to me the number one reason that most people vote is because of the economy. We have had 40-year historic high in inflation. We've had gas prices that are now about 40% more than what they were when Joe Biden came into office. And we have about 7 million illegal aliens in our country. And the bulk of the suffering because of these illegal aliens will be borne by Black people living in the inner city. So those are three reasons alone not to vote for the Democratic Party and to vote for the Republican Party. And by the way, I'm not voting for a fishing buddy. It's not because I like Trump or like him personally. I'm voting for policies. And I don't really care whether or not his personality offends people and he does bad tweets. Maybe it might be better for our society if he were more polite. I don't know. I don't care. I'm not voting for a fishing buddy. I'm voting for somebody to keep taxes low, keep regulations low, to secure the borders and keep us out of unnecessary wars.
Would it be fun to have money in a fascist country, though? To be Black and have
buzzwords. Niggas love buzzwords. They can't even articulate themselves well enough other than talk about fascism. Nigga, this is the best country, the freest country in the world, and you want to talk about fascism, but okay.
Have money in a fascist country?
Okay.
Out, if at all. For example, the number one social problem in America by far is the epidemic not of COVID, but of fatherlessness. 70% of Black kids today enter the world without a father in the home, married to the mother, up from 25% back in 1965. Now 25% of white kids enter the world today without a father in the home, married to the mother. And the stats are clear. Even Barack Obama once cited them. If you're raised without a dad, you're 5 times more likely to be poor and commit crime, 9 times more likely to drop out of school, and 20 times more likely to end up in jail. What's happened? In the mid-60s, with I think the best of intentions, a Democrat named Lyndon Johnson launched what he called the War on Poverty. And since then, we have incentivized women to marry the government.
This is why I disagree with him, because I don't think it was with the best intentions, because they had the Moynihan report that came out around the same time and understood that the Moynihan report, and it was ringing the alarm about what would happen with this welfare state. Y'all should go check it out.
And incentivize men to abandon their financial and moral responsibility. You know, when I say this to people, the pushback I get is, well, there are lots of things that are going on, systemic racism, poverty. Here's the problem. If you look at a young Black male aged 10 to 43, that's young to me because I'm 71 years old. A young Black man in that demo is 13 times more likely to be murdered than a young white man, same demo. Young Black man, real young, 19 and under, the number one cause of preventable death is homicide, almost always at the hands of another young Black male. Same demo for whites, the number one cause of preventable death is unintentional deaths. That includes drug overdoses, automobile accidents, drownings. It's not until they get to number 4 that death is the cause. In America, 60% of the shootings, the robberies, and the homicides are committed by Black people, often against other Black people. Of the homicides in this country, half of them are Black victims, almost all killed by other Blacks. How do you explain that if it isn't for the absence of fathers? Are you prepared to say Black people are just genetically inclined to commit more crime? I doubt it. And the go-to reaction often is poverty and systemic racism. Here's the problem. 1940, when there was blatant racism, this is before Brown versus Board of Education, before the Civil Rights Act of 64, KKK was still alive and well, 87% of Blacks lived under the poverty line. Now it's about 14%. You can't blame it on poverty. You can't blame it on racism. It is the breakdown of the nuclear intact family, and neither side is talking about it. The left doesn't talk about it because they caused it with the welfare state, And our side does not talk about it because if you're white, you'll be accused of dissing single moms who are heroically raising these kids, or you'll be accused of being.
They need to diss them. And this is the thing when it comes to culture and social justice, they care a lot about what black women think, not about what black men think. They care about, when they build these prisons, they need somebody to fill them and give free labor. So why would they shoot themselves in the foot? Shoot themselves in the foot talking about the causes of a lot of crime that's going on. Dude, y'all remember the story? I think about the men that were in Louisiana had came together and they took shifts by going to the schools and it stopped fighting, suspensions, expulsion, and the grades rose up because the fathers had made their own community and started their own like movement and started going to the schools to help the children out. Do y'all remember that story? I should actually do that story. I should do that story.
Being a racist, or if you're black, you'll be accused, as I was by the LA Times, of being the black face of white supremacy. Nobody's talking about that. I am.
What are the reasons, if your statistics are right, what are the reasons that you think fathers aren't in the home?
As I said, it's because in the mid-'60s, Lyndon Johnson launched what he called the War on Poverty. In Charlemagne, literally, they sent social workers door to door in the inner city. I remember this, advising women of the availability of welfare provided there was no man in the house. It created an economic incentive for women to marry the government. Same thing with whites. In 1965, 8% of whites entered the world without a father in the home married to the mother. Now it's about 25%, also up threefold. Look at census data, 1910, 1920, 1930, in places like Milwaukee, Chicago, Philadelphia. A young black kid was slightly more likely to be brought into a world with a father in the home married to the mother than a young white kid. We have incentivized this kind of bad behavior, and it's had a disproportionately bad effect on the black community.
Let me ask you a question. What do white people do wrong?
This how stupid niggas is. This is how dumb niggas are. I should have worn my I Hate Human shirt today. Let me ask you something. What do white people do wrong? I don't know, bitch. They ain't invite me to the barbecue, but y'all keep letting their ass over here. You know, one good thing about integration, I will say this: you get to sit next to somebody that looks different from you, and then you start realizing these motherfuckers just as dumb as the Pookies and Ray Rays in our neighborhood. What do white people do wrong? This is a weird question to fucking ask somebody.
Larry Elder.
What do you mean? What do white people do? I'm not worried about white people. I'm worried about what's going on with us.
But if there's systemic racism in this country, which we know it is.
No, I don't say there is. You say there is. I don't believe that.
Oh, you don't believe there's?
No, there used to be, obviously. Tell me what you think the number one systemic example of systemic racism is in America.
Oh man, there's so many.
Just give me the most important one you think.
At the top of mind, I'll probably maybe say mass incarceration. Maybe.
Really?
Did you hear this dumbass nigga? Did you hear what Larry Elder was telling you? This is why I know Charlemagne, they be trying to act like Charlemagne a genius. This nigga, they wouldn't, even if they gave me a script to read, I would never put myself on a platform that's this big as the Breakfast Club to say something this stupid. Listen to this again. Listen to this. Just listen to it.
Kid, we have incentivized this kind of bad behavior, and it's had a disproportionately bad effect on the black community.
Let me ask you a question. What do white people do wrong, Larry Elder?
What do you mean? What do white people do? I'm not worried about white people. I'm worried about what's going on with us.
But if there's systemic racism in this country, which we know it is.
No, I don't say there is. You say there is. I don't believe that.
Oh, you don't believe there's?
No, there used to be, obviously. Tell me what you think the number one systemic example of systemic racism is in America.
Oh man, there's so many.
Just give me the most important one you think.
At the top of mind, I'll probably maybe say mass incarceration. Maybe.
Really? And
this nigga said mass incarceration. Like, bitch, what the fuck have I been sitting here talking about? I've been telling y'all. He said even Barack Obama, y'all daddy, the nigga y'all dick y'all love to suck. Barack Obama told y'all you 5 times more likely to go to prison if your daddy ain't in home. And he telling y'all to put the daddies back in home, and your stupid ass gonna sit there and say mass incarceration is probably the most systemic racist thing ever. Well, you would think a father not being in the house would precede mass incarceration. You would think maybe you would have a lot of niggas going to jail if we get daddies back in the home. The government is your daddy.
And during the Great Depression, when 50% of black adults were unemployed, you didn't have this kind of mass incarceration. It's the breakdown of the family. There's a direct.
I'm not going to. I agree with the family part. I'm a black man who is a father to his children, and I'm
Right.
a happily married
Right.
black man to a black woman. So I'm never going to argue with that part,
Mhm.
you know. But I just feel like everything is black with you. Black is wrong. Black people do this and black people do that. And when I ask you what white people do wrong,
See, and this is the problem that I have when I have a conversation with niggas like this, because if we all can see that there is a sickness in our community, the first steps is to call it out. We ain't worried about what white folks do. Well, we finna go fix their fucking problems. Y'all say y'all is white supremacy, systemic issues, the police are racist. We got all of this stuff. So now we pointed out the issue. What are we going to do to fix it? Are we going to still cry about it? Because personally, I'm not a person that wants to sit here and just cry about it, but it seems like it's always going on because racism is a billion-dollar industry. That's why they go down there and put your Black Lives Matter on your football fields and your basketball court. Make y'all what they say performative activism. I'll put a motherfucking sign on the day. I'll pin a sign on the street to shit y'all niggas up. Hell yeah. What you mean? If all I gotta do is paint a sign on this basketball floor and on the football field and paint a roll so you can see it from the helicopter when you taking your trips to Dubai to get shitted on, hell yeah, I do this. That's all I gotta do. $100 worth of paint and I ain't gotta change shit. All right.
you said you're not worried about white people at all.
I'm talking about the damage, disproportionate damage going on in the black community. For example, look at these smash and grabs that are taking place in Los Angeles, where I live. There's a suburb called Glendale, where at a mall recently, a mob of 30 to 40 people, they had masks on, but one guy got popped. He was a black. I think most of those who were doing this were black. And in recent years and times, there have been a number of these in places like Chicago, places like New York. If I were involved in something like that, Charlemagne, I grew up with a dad, just as you're raising your own children. I would have been more afraid of my father than I would about the cops catching me. These kids are afraid of neither. They don't have a father in the home. Cops are demoralized. They're pulling back. Their manpower is short. And as a result, you tell a bad guy you're less likely to be caught, convicted, incarcerated, crime goes up. They may be criminals, but they're not stupid.
Mhm.
When you say, what do white people do? I mean, this is a country that has struggled mightily to get over its historic racism. There was a civil war. There was a big civil rights movement. This is the only majority white country that's ever elected a black president, let alone reelected a black president. The three biggest cities in America are New York, Chicago, LA. They all have black mayors, even though no city has a majority of black population. The president of Harvard is a black female. Martin Luther King in 1966, Charlemagne, gave an interview to the BBC Civil Rights Act of 64 got passed. And he said, I'm amazed at how many positive changes there have been in America in the last 2 years. Why, if things keep going like this, we could have a black president in about 40 years' time.
Mhm.
Do the math. Right on cue, Barack Obama elected 2008. He didn't say there'll be a black female president of Harvard, and there has been. He didn't say there are going to be black CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, and there have been several. He didn't say the percentage of the House would equal the percentage of black people in the population, and it does. He didn't say the three largest cities would have black mayors, and they do. He didn't say the largest and most prestigious organization of doctors, the American Medical Association, would have 2 black presidents, and there have been. He didn't say the most prestigious organization of lawyers, the American Bar Association, would have 2 black presidents, and they have. He said president, meaning at that point, I can feel that I've reached the mountaintop, which is the speech he gave right before he got assassinated the day before. And now we act as if Barack Obama never even got elected. And we're still talking about systemic racism. It's not fair. It's wrong. And you're discouraging black people from working hard. 1990s.
Okay. Mr. Elder, a quick question. Let's just remove the word racism, since that seems to be a word that triggers, a conversation down the water hole. Let's just focus.
Y'all, I'm gonna say this. I do not like this bitch. She always got an attitude. And this is what they do. They put a black woman up here They put a black woman on here because most black women act like this, and so now it's probably a black woman watching this interview. Oh, you get him, girl. You put him in his place. You go, girl, because you know black women love racism. Talking about racism, and still got the white men helping them the most. J.P. Morgan, what there was $10 billion. They want to get a black women businesses. Yeah, look it up.
Focus on the word system.
Okay.
You mentioned that the system was the one that discouraged. And again, we have no problem with agreeing that the family, the black family should certainly has some room for some improvement. But let's just focus on system.
Room for
You said that the
improvement?
system. Well, we're not going to go down that water. We're
Okay.
not going to go down that water hole. Let's get to the question. So the question is, you said that the system encouraged black women to be single mothers, correct?
I said the welfare state, yes.
The welfare, the system. So who's in
Okay.
charge of the system? Who was in charge of the system?
Well, it was Democrats that passed it.
And who were
The-
Democrats? Were they black or white at that time?
Well, at the time, majority of black people were Democrats, as the majority of black people are Democrats
not
now.
the voters. I'm talking about the system. Remember, the main idea is the word system. Who was in charge of the system at the time? The Democrats at the time, the system. I'm just going to Charlamagne's point about white or black. Was it white Democrats in charge of the system or black Democrats in charge of the system?
Well, if you're prepared to say that Lyndon Johnson did this viciously with an intent to destroy the black family, I disagree. He did it with the best of intentions.
No, I didn't ask you that.
And if you look at the New York Times, which is left wing, the Washington Post, which is left wing, they cheered all of this.
Right. And what I'm asking was it white people. So I'm going to ask again in case my mic's not coming through clearly. Was
Smart ass bitch. It's always a black woman. They always use black women as, attack dogs to get a black man right, especially when the black man ain't thinking like they want him to think. Now, if he was Democratic and talking about Joe Biden, this bitch would be happy. She'll be so happy. She'll be smiling. All of it. It wouldn't be all this smart ass remarks. The other candidate they had on here, Vivek, she was the same way with him, being a smart ass. And the shit they let her get up here and say didn't even make fucking sense for the shit that he was running for. They always put a black woman up here to be a fucking bitch to people.
it white people in charge of the system or black people in charge of that system that helped break down the black family? It's a simple yes, just a simple question, white or black?
Well, you didn't have to go on welfare unless you voluntarily chose to go on welfare. The inducement was put there by Democrats, by the left.
Correct? Okay. White Democrats,
well,
correct?
most black people were Democrats, and they voted for these white people
Not
too.
voters. I said who's in charge of the system?
Well, who puts them in charge?
Was Lyndon Johnson white or black?
Who put them in charge?
Maybe that'll help you.
Fine. Lyndon Johnson was white.
Thank you.
Okay. But if your argument is that the reason he did it is because of racism, then I disagree. He did it because of
That's not my argument. I just said
her green screen is fucking horrible. One of her shoulders keep disappearing. Like, bitch, how you gonna be smarter? You can't even get a decent green screen. Fucking shoulder keep disappearing, bitch. I just don't like her. I don't fucking like her. I don't like her. And she's so goddamn stupid because it don't matter who the fuck it was over the system. Y'all stupid ass niggas voted for that. Y'all voted for it because most black people are Democratic and have been Democratic with what the president name said. If you give me these systems, I had these niggas voting Democratic for the next 200 years. I had these niggas voting Democrat for the next 200 years. Let's go here now. Let's go here. Because I'm finna go hurry up and get up out of here. I think it was a lot of valid points made in here. Now, I feel a little different right here on this point. But I'm going to let them talk about it.
0% of the kids can do math at grade level. Meanwhile, the Democratic Party is opposed to school choice, while the party elites, whether it's Barack Obama or Gavin Newsom or Joe Biden, have their own kids in private school. It is wrong, and we need to talk about that.
Larry Elder, why would
everybody know that public schools are shitty? Everybody knows that. And if people with any common sense try to get their fucking children out of public schools, it's going down bad and it's shitty. It just is what it is.
So why should they vote for you? Why should a black person vote for you?
Because I'm telling the truth, and the truth oftentimes is unpleasant. It's not pleasant for me to be called the black face of white supremacy, as the LA Times did. It's not pleasant for me to be accused of being anti-black, as Tavis Smiley once called me, because I don't support reparations. By the way, Barack Obama never supported reparations. Nobody called him
And Barack Obama was the most racist president we fucking had. Because y'all, if you get a black man in the office and y'all still complaining about the same shit to this day, and the black man couldn't change it, like I said, I stay in Birmingham, Alabama. It's a black fucking mecca, and niggas still talking about racism, and they would never encounter somebody that doesn't look like them. They have black people in high positions in my city to where the systems that's in place can be changed and things can be made in your local government. We always talk about the president, but nobody wants to tell y'all to go and vote for y'all city councilmen and shit like that, y'all judges and other stuff. They don't tell you about that. But these are things that can be changed and have an immediate effect on your life, on what laws and bills that can be passed. You should go and take your time to look at it. But in my city, it's black as fuck. What the dumb hoe say? Period.
anti-black. We need to talk about what's going on. What's going on is the breakdown of the family. And most of the things we complain about downstream, whether it's crime or whether it's bad schools, the genesis is the breakdown of the nuclear intact family, and we don't talk enough about it.
Do you agree that our community is hit harder with a lot of things that you just said, whether it is racism, whether it is getting loans, whether it is getting entrepreneurship, whether it is education, whether it is all those things? You do understand that and agree with that, correct?
I do, but much of it is either self-inflicted or because of policies that we have supported.
Self-inflicted. Even if you support the policies, that's self-inflicted, and you don't got to go down there and vote. And that's why I say I don't understand why niggas still on that. I don't give a fuck. You ain't got to vote Republican either. You just don't have to vote.
Democrats that we have supported. I wrote a book called, it's coming out in October. It's called As Goes California, My Mission to Rescue the Golden State and Save the Nation. It's about the one-party rule in California. California has supermajorities of Democrats in the Senate and in the House. And as a result, our schools are near the bottom. People are leaving California for the very first time. We have the highest state income tax in the country. The average price of a home in California costs 175% above the national average, all because of these left-wing policies that are hurting the very people, black and brown people living in the inner city, that people on the left claim that they care about.
Do you think slavery was self-inflicted? Or do you think Jim Crow segregation was self-inflicted? Or do you think,
slavery was self-inflicted? Of course, it wasn't self-inflicted, but there are a lot of people have bloody hands in slavery. For example, slavery could not have existed had it not been for African chieftains who were selling black slaves captured in battle or captured through raids and selling them to European and Arab slaves. Golden State and Save the Nation. It's about the one-party rule in California. California has supermajorities of Democrats in the Senate and in the House. And as a result, our schools are near the bottom. People are leaving California for the very first time. We have the highest state income tax in the country. The average price of a home in California costs 175% above the national average, all because of these left-wing policies that are hurting the very people, black and brown people living in the inner city, that people on the left claim that they care about.
Do you think slavery was self-inflicted? Or do you think Jim Crow segregation was self-inflicted? Or do you think,
slavery was self-inflicted? Of course, it wasn't self-inflicted, but there are a lot of people have bloody hands in slavery. For example, slavery could not have existed had it not been for African chieftains who were selling black slaves captured in battle or captured through raids and selling them to European and Arab slavers. It could not have existed without that. So everybody has dirty hands here. That's why reparations is such a foolish thing. If you're going to get reparations.
Now, I'm going to say this. Black people always have this argument when it comes to how slavery was in America, right? So they'll say, well, black people sold slaves into slavery because they didn't do slavery the way they did it in Africa. And I'm like, how do you know that what slavery was like anywhere else? Like, did they send you a postcard? Did they send a pigeon? Did they send it through Bluetooth? Did they send it through the mail? Like, how do you know that when they left Africa and take slaves to America, that they was going to do slavery the exact same way? And then when you think about, when you read reports about how Africans and when they met Europeans and how much different they were than them, and they had to teach them their customs and their ways, why would you think that would be smart too? Also, they always like to say this: Well, they didn't know what the slavery was going to be like when they came over here. Question: would you send your child somewhere? Listen to me. Would you send your child somewhere if you did not know how they were going to be treated? If you were a good parent, I know y'all ain't good parents, but if you were a good parent, would you send your child somewhere if you did not know how they would be treated? Exactly. And so since you wouldn't send your child, y'all gonna say the next thing where they were warring with these people, so they sent them. So basically, they didn't give a fuck about what happened to these people because they were trying to trade these people for whatever goods that the white man had that came in Africa. Because they did not know how they were going to be treated. If they cared enough, because y'all like to say, well, when they had slaves in Africa, you know, they treated like they were their brothers, like they were family. How the fuck you treat somebody like they're your family and they shooting arrows and shit or whatever the fuck they had over there, trying to kill you, take your land, rip your women and stuff like that? How? That just Africans, they were just so nice when they battled. They just put on boxing gloves and who lost the boxing match, and then you just went and got enslaved. No, they were warring, they were killing each other. And y'all want to try to act like, oh, they were brothers. They treated Africans, other Africans treated other Africans so nice. Like, what the fuck? Y'all say dumb shit all the time. How the fuck were they supposed to know that how niggas was gonna be treated in Africa? I mean, in America. They did not know. They did not care. No, Africans didn't treat other Africans they were warring with like their brother. You know why? Because they were at war and they were prisoners of war. That's why they were comfortable selling them, because this nigga threw a spear past my head, and if my head was an inch over, I would not be here right now. Fuck this nigga. He got to go.
From the 5% or so of white people that have some sort of generational connection to slavery, and that's all there is, then you need to go back to Africa and get money from African countries that were involved in the slave trade and in the Arab slave trade. And by the way, the Arab slave trade was even worse than the European slave trade. 90% rate of attrition, often making men and women walk on barefoot across the Sahara, and the men were castrated. Only about
Okay,
5.
so if they go after the money from the
So this bitch want to cut people off. I can't. Ooh, I tell y'all, they always use black women with attitudes like this to interrupt and try to put black men in their place. But the thing about it is, when you are a black man and you are strong and you understand what the fuck going on, this bitch could not rattle you, because you know why she does. You know she miserable. This bitch can't even get a good green screen background. Do you know the type of green screens and shit you can get behind you that looks nice? You get this blank ass gray background where your shoulder and hand keep disappearing. Come on, dog.
the other countries, then would you agree that it would be okay to go after the money from America? Is that your problem with it?
When are you going to stop with this? Everybody has a grievance.
I just asked a simple question.
I'm answering your question. There's no end. There'll be no end to this, because slavery has been part of human history from the very beginning.
Okay,
be getting money.
I've let you talk, sir. I've let you talk, and every time I talk, you begin to talk, and then you say, "Let you finish."
No, bitch. He was actually talking when you cut him off. This nigga was actually talking when you cut him off. He was on a whole rant, and you was like, so, Mr. Elder, if they agreed to go after the Africans, would you be okay with that? You cut him off. He was already talking, bitch.
So I asked you a very simple question. You said, if you're going to go after it in America, go after it in Africa. So if we all agree to go after it in Africa, will you then agree to go after it in America? It's just a simple question. Yes or no?
No, I won't, because it's a waste of time. We ought to be spending our time on education.
Next question.
Okay. You told me that I cut you off. Then I tried to answer your question. You won't let me finish.
Go ahead, Larry.
Thank you. It's a waste of time. We ought to be talking about working hard, investing in ourselves. Right now, as we speak, there are Haitians in Haiti lining up for a lottery to come into this country. Why? Because it is the land of the free and the home of the brave. You can go from nothing to something faster in America than any other country in all of human history. We ought to be talking about that. Let me just, one more point. 1997, Time Magazine and CNN hooked up together to do a poll on what Black teenagers and white teenagers felt about racism. And both of them were asked, is racism a major problem in America? Both of them said yes. But then Time and CNN asked this question of the Black teenagers. Is racism a big problem, a small problem, or no problem in your own daily life? This is 1997. 89% of them said small problem or no problem in my own daily life. In fact, twice as many Blacks said failure to take advantage of available opportunities is a bigger problem than racism.
That was
1997.
1997.
1997. Look it up.
It's 2023 though.
You think America's more racist now after the election and re-election of Barack Obama than it was in 1997?
Yes, because of the election of MAGA, Donald Trump, 100%. Yes.
Really?
Absolutely.
Well, how is it, Charlemagne, that Donald Trump got 8% of the Black vote in 2016? He got 12% in 2020, a 50% increase. He got 20% of the Black male vote in 2020. If MAGA is racist, how do you explain that Donald Trump substantially increased the percentage of Black votes the Republican Party got?
Sometimes people make.
So why are you running against Trump then, Mr. Elder?
Yeah,
I'm not running against him. I'm running against Biden Harris. Any one of the Republican nominees we have would be better than what we have right now. I'm not running against him. I'm running to put forth the issues I just now mentioned that I've been talking about for the last few minutes.
You know, I want to ask you about that. You know, after 4 indictments, 91 criminal charges, don't you think it would behoove the Republican Party to move on from Donald Trump?
I think that the voters in the primary will make that decision.
What do you think, though? I
have no problem with I thought Donald Trump did an extraordinary job as president, especially for Black people. Best economy ever. He did something about the borders. The people that are most hurt because of poor Johnson, the first Black heavyweight champion. Even Barack Obama didn't do that.
Yeah,
he did an extraordinary job for Black people.
I think you're innocent until proven guilty, but I feel like President Biden had 4 indictments, 91 criminal charges. You know, President Obama had 4 indictments, 91 criminal charges. Y'all would be telling them that they need to step aside and they shouldn't be running for president.
Well, I wouldn't vote for Barack Obama or for Joe Biden in any case, no matter whether he had indictments or no indictments. I don't vote for tax spend, regulate liberals.
You're a conservative, right? Obviously.
No question.
What initially made you gravitate towards being a conservative?
I think it was my father. My father was a hard work wins. You get out of Father, Dear Son, 2 Lives, 8 Hours. The paperback is called A Lot Like Me. Same book, but it's cheaper.
Can you honestly say this is the Republican Party that you grew up on? Republican Party that you grew up on?
That's the word Barack Obama used to describe the so-called entitlements. Unsustainable was a word that Bill Clinton used to describe them. But nothing happens because if you run claiming you're going to reform Social Security or Medicare, the other side is going to accuse you of not caring about the sick, the poor, the elderly, and you are going to lose elections. That's why government gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So we need a law to restrain spending. Otherwise, it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And for young people like you, these programs are not going to be there.
Mr. Elder, I know a lot of Black conservatives, and I completely agree about the Black family. I don't think anybody here objects to that.
Don't disagree about that at all.
I think when you talk about ideology and then you mix in parties and then personalities, it gets kind of confusing. And, you know, you mentioned yourself not to moan and groan, you know, that as long as you work hard, all is well. And I think where the conflict is coming in is you did moan and groan about how the Republicans treated you. You did moan and grown about Governor Newsom and, you know, asking for a recall. You did not leave that up to the voters. You are moaning and groaning when it comes to Donald Trump and how he's being treated. So it just seems to be a hypocrisy. And I don't know if the message would land a little bit better if there was some fairness across the board.
Bitch, when he's talking about moaning and fucking groaning, he's talking about that's all you fucking do. You just moan and groan and you don't do anything to rectify the situation. Dumbass. Just look at her face. I paused at the right time. And bitches always got to talk with their fucking hands.
On Democrats and Republicans. I'm an independent, by the way, and I think both parties are trash. And I think all of us here, you know, see both sides. And that's the part that's just not landing for me. There seems to be an unfairness on both sides with you.
Well, not too surprisingly, I don't agree with your analysis. How is it that I did not leave the recall to the voters? What do you mean by that?
What do you?
You said I didn't leave the recall to the voters.
No. I said you moaned and groaned about it. You said it should be recalled, correct? correct?
I said Gavin Newsom should have been recalled. Yes.
Right. That's moaning and groaning.
Well, actually, it's taking advantage of what's in the California Constitution, which is when a certain percentage of voters sign a petition to recall a politician, there can be a recall vote. And there was one, as there was in 2003. We recalled a governor then. And there was in 2021 when I attempted to recall Gavin Newsom. That's part of our democratic process in California.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We agree with that. I'm going to your statement when you said rather than moan about it a little while ago, you said rather than moan about it, I'm just going to keep doing the hard work. And so I'm just saying that technically is moaning about it because the governor's the
I don't follow exactly what you're saying. Really
it's okay. I didn't expect you to.
Yeah,
but it's one moment.
Told y'all they always get a black bitch up here to argue stupid ass shit. You talking about moaning and groaning, bitch? I'm a fucking presidential candidate. And I'm teaching y'all some shit. I'm telling y'all that you could do this because it's in the California Constitution. And you want to sit here talking about because I'm moaning and groaning. Bitch, you know what moaning and groaning means. Moaning and groaning means you do absolutely nothing about it. You only moan and groan. Me saying there's an issue with something is not moaning and groaning. Me saying and over and over and over and not doing anything. Anybody that can hear me talk about something, that is moaning and groaning. But if I go by the proper steps and protocols to recall something, that's me taking action, dumbass.
I'm a little slow sometimes.
One moment, yeah, we get it.
Yeah.
One moment, you're
what? I didn't even see that. I know that was in. I watched bits and pieces of this shit.
Complaining about the system, and the next minute you're saying the system is fair. The next minute you're saying it's not fair. So that's what I'm saying. There just seems to be a double standard on you and the system, not wanting to be accountable for a system that black people are not in charge of. By the way, of not wanting to hold both sides accountable when it comes to the system.
Do I believe Hillary was treated differently and Joe Biden treated differently than Donald Trump is being treated? Yes, I do. Is that an indictment about whether or not America is systemically racist? No, it is not. Those are
they're two totally different things.
Yes,
you're trying to merge the two, but they're two totally different things.
I agree with you. They're two different things. No, we're agreeing. We're agreeing. They're two different things. We're agreeing.
No, we're agreeing to two different things. We're not agreeing that there's not systematic racism because we're not in charge of the system, sir. In case you
all right. Can we?
Black people have never been in charge of any system.
Well, bitch, you keep voting for them that goddamn system. How about that? Y'all keep voting for the shit.
Actually, we have been. Take Baltimore.
No, we've never been in charge.
May I finish?
Tell me, what financial system are black people in charge of? What healthcare system are black people in charge of? What government system are black people in charge of?
I'm about ready to tell you.
What prison system are black people in charge?
I'm about ready to tell you.
I'm not talking about mayors. I already know that talking point, sir. I go on Fox News all the time as well. So let's not go there with that. I said, what system have we created? Have we implemented that we have been in charge of? Name one.
Is this why you don't like talking to black women, Larry Elder?
Wow.
You heard what Charlamagne just said. You heard. Is this why you don't like talking to black women? What is Charlamagne trying to say right here? Because black women, all black women like that? That's what you're trying to say, Charlamagne? Because all black women are contentious like this, rolling their neck, batting their eyes, talking with their hands, talking aggressive and masculine to a man like this? A presidential candidate? Or they're just going to say, oh, she was grilling him. But why the men don't talk to him like this? Why aren't the men talking to the presidential candidate like this?
Wow. Baltimore. Freddie Gray a few years ago.
No. That's mayors. I'm not talking. I said system.
Bitch, let them talk.
Remember,
I'm going to tell you about this system if you allow me to finish my point.
I'm not talking about somebody elected and doing a job, sir. I asked what system did we create? What financial system?
Okay, let's talk about the system of one of the largest. Thank you.
Sir.
One of the systems of one of the largest.
It's sad that another man had to come in and tell this. They call them the hyenas. To say something.
Cities in America, Baltimore. Freddie Gray died in police custody a few years ago. The mayor was black. The head of the police department was black. Number two,
it's not in charge of the system, but go ahead.
Number two person in charge of the police department was black. All of city council, Democrats, majority black.
Still not in charge of the system.
Wow.
That's a position.
6 officers charged. 3 of them were black. A judge before whom 2 of the officers tried their case, found him not guilty, was black.
Still not in charge of the system.
The city.
Every time this nigga speaks, she still not in charge of the system. Bitch, you're not proving a point. He's actually making a valid point that if y'all got niggas in these positions, then what more can you do? If y'all got all these niggas in all these positions, one after the other, it ain't like it's a skill. It ain't like it's the mayor. Then you get the next nigga is the superintendent. No, you got a whole the pecking order or the chain of command is black, 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 and bitch, y'all ain't changing none of the laws that y'all still complaining about today after y'all done had a black fucking president.
Intendant of public schools was black. The county superintendent of public schools is black. The attorney general at the time, Loretta Lynch, is black, as was the president of the United States, was black. And yet,
still not in charge of the system. I asked you a simple question, sir.
Well, Wanda Sykes said when Barack Obama got elected, how are you going to complain about the man when you are the man? Now, from the president to the attorney.
Right. How you gonna keep complaining about the white man when y'all in these positions of power? Y'all like to say, but people in positions of power. Y'all the niggas in the power. Y'all the niggas with the power. Oh, but let me guess. The next thing is, well, you know them niggas, they're gonna be too scared to do something. Or you know them niggas get those type of positions because they're gonna lean on the side of the white people. Well, then what the fuck do we do next?
General, to the state attorney, to the mayor, to the head of the police department, to the commissions of the schools in the city and in the county, to the majority of city council in that city, all of them are black. And you're still saying that we don't run anything?
So who's in charge of the
No,
system?
no, no. I said who created the system. I didn't say we didn't run anything. I challenged a lot of those black leaders, by the way. I said who, when we talk about the system, what black people have been in charge of any system. I'm not talking about a position. I'm not talking about a mayor. You know good and well.
You're basically saying that they're black faces that are still in those positions, but they're still being part
Similar
of the
to you, Mr. Elder. You're
so
a black face in a position in the conservative movement. They're just the same. They're just on the other side. I'm talking about.
So then, when Martin Luther King said in 1966, I believe there could be a black president in about 40 years' time, then it really doesn't matter if there's one or isn't. One, because nothing changes. He was naive.
The
he was
system
naive
also
then.
killed him as well. Well, we know that the FBI and the CIA also killed him. That system. You realize that, correct?
Wow. An individual killed him.
Right. That was also a part of Crow Hotel through the system. Correct?
Not correct.
Correct her, Charlamagne, because the bitch don't even know what the fuck she talking about. She don't even know. Charlamagne had to correct you because you don't even know what you're talking about.
Not correct. He was
so
killed.
The FBI didn't have anything to do with it. The CIA didn't have anything to do with it.
Edgar Hoover was definitely on Martin's ass. Like, come on.
I didn't say he wasn't. Robert Kennedy is the one that approved the wiretaps. But to say that the FBI killed him, I mean, what's your evidence of that?
Oh no,
that's a pretty serious charge.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Pretty serious charge.
Yeah.
Serious charge that requires.
And they let these bitches just get out here and say whatever the fuck they want to say without any proof. They do.
Talking about the
evidence.
Yeah.
What is your enforcement law proposal?
It is to allow states to set up commissions of retired judges and retired DAs to get rid of these soft on crime, George Soros-backed DAs that are allowing a bunch of bad people on the streets or not charging bad people to the full extent of the law. And the people that, by and large, are hurt by these people are the very black and brown people living in the inner city. There's a Larry Krasner is a George Soros-backed DA in Philadelphia. He's been impeached, but this Philadelphia State Senate wouldn't even take up the case. We've had 2 attempts to repeal a soft on crime DA in LA County, and it hasn't gone through yet. We've got a bunch of, in my opinion, this guy, Alvin Bragg, he ran promising to get Donald Trump. And when he got in, he said the evidence wasn't there. And then one of the former DAs writes a book, accuses Bragg of giving Donald Trump a pass. And all of a sudden, he brings counts against Donald Trump. I think it's unfair.
You think members of your party are leaning toward fascism?
Define fascism.
Authoritarianism?
Define fascism.
I mean, the rejection of democracy, the rule of law, and equal rights under the law in favor of a strong man, Donald Trump, who interprets the popular will.
No, I don't. There was a long article about Barack Obama.
Yeah, he's reading off this damn computer. He got a whole list up there of shit that they got him to say. Stupid ass nigga.
One of my
and Charlamagne and bleached his fucking skin because that nigga was black as hell back in the day, and now he almost looked like DJ Envy over there with that shiny ass fucking face.
Mentors. His name is Thomas Sowell. He's an economist. He's a black conservative, still alive, around 95 years old. And he wrote a piece in which he said a lot of people call people like Barack Obama socialist. Socialism is government ownership of the means of production. Fascism is when the government allows you to own means of production, the government tells you what to do. And he said, frankly, technically, people like Barack Obama are fascists. That is to say, these are left-wing people telling you how to run your business, telling you what to sell, telling you what you can't sell. For example, in California, we have a governor named Gavin Newsom who recently said by the year 2035, no more sale of new gas-powered cars. How dare you? Most people don't want an EV. They like their own gasoline-powered cars, but now you're telling car dealerships they can't even sell them? What do you call that?
You know what's crazy about that? That so many people voted for that, and they ain't gonna have the money to even afford a fucking electric vehicle. People aren't going to. Have y'all seen car prices? Do y'all know the average car price is like $730 plus? Most people cannot afford a brand new car, especially if the state start outlawing the production of gas power cars. Now you got to think about this. A lot of people now, I'm guessing this right now, it's going to be production of cars. I don't know how it's going to be the next 5 years where they say, well, we're going to outlaw all cars that aren't electric vehicles. This is the slippery slope that you're running on because a lot of y'all are struggling already, especially in California. People are leaving California in droves, and they had to have the damn governor of Texas say, y'all left California because it was fucked up. Don't come over here voting the same way. It's sad you got to tell grown people that's running for the hills to not vote the same exact way that they were voting in California, to why the policies and shit is fucked up. Most people ain't gonna be able to afford an electric car. Y'all gonna be riding around and hearing y'all bucket. This is sad, sad reality. These are policies that y'all vote for. These are the people that y'all vote for. These are people that y'all, want to see. Y'all want to stay in these places with these high ass taxes and shit. And y'all want to act like it's freer in other places in America when we know that that's not true. Like the South ain't one of the best places, especially for a black person to stay, when black people have been dealing with white people and other races that down south for the longest than any other place. When you hear statements of other civil rights leaders talk about how when they would go to other places outside of the South, they would experience some of the most extreme racism. Even your basketball players talk about how when they go to like places like Denver, fucking Colorado, they talk about how the fans are racist and say a whole bunch of shit to them and think it's cool and they think it's okay. And that's why you've been seeing people like Russell Westbrook get into it with the fans and shit like that. We need to bring shame back in our community. We don't need to be worried about, if y'all watching the video, make sure y'all like the video. Y'all make sure y'all like the video. But we don't need to be worried about what other races of people are doing, because it gets to the point now, I don't even think they care about what we're doing because they see where we're going. It's getting to the point where us as black people, we need to bring back shame. We need to believe in classism, because yes, there are people who are not like you. If you're trying to be better, you need to think about your kids' education. You don't need to be trying to be down. You don't need to be trying to be in the in crowd or hip to a lot of shit that's going on. Yeah, like I said, you gotta part of being in our community, you got to be a baby mama, baby dad. The bitch got to have 2 or 3 abortions. We got to take on baby mamas and shit. Like this is weird in our community. We living in a very, very unnatural state. Like I said, my old women used to say, "Why you want to be with her? Is she already got a ready-made family? Why you want to go into that situation, especially when you can have your own kids? Why you want to not experience your first with somebody?" Like part of relationships and make relationships grow and flourish is being able to experience things with people. I want my first child to be your first child. Why is that such a bad thing? Why do black men think they have to take on baby mamas? I know why. Because a lot of these black men seen their mamas hoping and praying for a man to come and save them. So they feel like now they finna go and save a bitch with some kids. They was hoping and praying that their mama got with a man that was going to be, their Santa Claus when Christmas came around, and pushed them on the swing and taught them how to ride their bike for the first time without the training wheels because they daddy wasn't shit, but your mama didn't tell you that she was out hoeing and popping that cootie pop, and that's why you here, and she really don't know who your daddy is, and she just tell you that he wasn't shit and just left. Yeah, I do know in paternity court, black women are the main women in paternity court. The rate, remember rate. Y'all got to remember rate, because y'all will say, well, when we look at these numbers, no, well, bitch, y'all only make up 6 million in population, but why y'all still got the same number? I mean, the rate and the odd is higher on your end. Paternity court, paternity fraud. This is what life is to be black. To be black, you gotta go along with the most degenerate shit. To be black, you gotta go along with the most degenerate shit possible. And it's sad. They don't care about their kids. They on the internet, like I told y'all, you got little girls. They dress little girls up to look like these little thought pockets out here. They got little girls wearing rumples pulled up in the womanly parts of these little children, posing like the hoes do on Instagram. And the thing about it is, when you have people that speak like this and talk about the shit that's going on in our community, they say you ain't black. They try to take your black card. They try to say you hate women and shit like that. All of these things they use to they never argue the point, and they always use this to shame you. Like Kevin Samuels used to say, sign language. They do. And we out here trying to act like it's okay for women to just be having sex and not know who their baby daddy is. Y'all got a woman named Sexy Red all around talking about she the raw dog queen. As of now, you know how small, I said this on one of my last podcasts earlier this year. Do you know how small of a window it is? You know how small of a window it is to get pregnant? You got like a 7-day window to get pregnant. You sleeping with that many men in a week? Bitches testing 10 men. Bitches it's only 7 days you can really get pregnant. 7. And you're testing 10 men to find out who got you pregnant. Taking on a baby mama in the black community now is a badge of honor. My mother used to always say this. Why would you want that girl if that nigga didn't want her? That's a valid statement. If he didn't want to be there with his own children, her and his child, why do you think you want her? I got 2 kids. If I was single right now, I still wouldn't date a woman with children. For what? What would be the point? Our community is horrible. Y'all seen in Chicago, Walmart leaving Chicago. Walmart leaving Chicago. Places in California. People are talking about how it's a food desert. Y'all had the man in Washington, D.C. I think it's city councilman in Washington, D.C. Talk about the crime that's going on in Washington, D.C. Talking about he wants to bring the National Guard there. This is a thing. Y'all remember when Trump was talking about the National Guard and crime, y'all say he was racist. But the black city councilman in Washington, D.C. say he wants to bring in the National Guard because crime is so bad. You can look this shit up. He said that Walmart was trying to leave, and he's trying to get the people to rally so that the Walmart won't leave because it's so much fucking theft. In these liberal places, they had a guy they interviewed, got arrested 3 times in one day for stealing because it's a slap on the wrist. And all they do is run in the store. If they get caught, if it's under a certain amount, they just give them a fine and they go back and do the shit again. They had reports in California saying theft and crime is so bad, people are leaving their windows down on their cars. So people won't bust out their windows to steal something, and they just want them to go in and like, bitch, ain't shit in here. Things are that bad to where people are leaving their windows down because they don't want you to damage their property. They don't want you to damage their property, so they leave their windows down so y'all can go in there and search through their own shit. This is crazy and wild. Sad fucking reality that we are living in. And a lot of these people, when you watch all these smash and grabs, when 20, 30, 40 people going inside of Saks Fifth and Gucci and stealing, all of them is niggas. And then then you would think, these people are stealing because they're poor. That's what people, this is what people typically say. People are stealing because they are all poor. So what about Gucci? Them robbing the Gucci store says they are poor. What the fuck Gucci gonna do about you not being poor? I would see if you were stealing food because you got to feed yourself. I would see if you were even in there stealing shoes. Y'all, I didn't see nobody walking out that store with shoes. They had handbags and coats. I could see shoes. Maybe your shoes ran thin. Now because you got to use your feet. I can see you stealing clothing, maybe from Walmart. But food and shoes, I can see that. Y'all was stealing Gucci handbags. Coats. It's the middle of the fucking summer. I told y'all. Grab your popcorn and enjoy the show. It ain't no saving black people. If you're a person and you think differently, get the fuck out the way. Don't let nobody discourage you from thinking different than the masses. Black people, we're not a monolith. You don't have to vote a certain type of way. Vote who earns your vote. Vote for the person that earns your vote. I don't give a fuck who it is. And we need to go back to the time where politics and who you have sex with and your sexual preference is stayed private. Nobody needs to know who you vote for. Nobody needs to know what you do in the bedroom, and nobody needs to know the gender or if you're heterosexual or straight or gay or not. Nobody needs to know that. All of these things need to go back to being private, but we live on the internet, so everybody's putting everything out there to be judged. And then it's crazy that so many people put so much shit out there and then don't want to be judged, as if people aren't judgmental, but we know people are very judgmental. Being judgmental is part of a survival tactic. On if you know this bitch walking towards me with an axe, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't judge him. I should just walk by. But the axe is bloody. Maybe he's a serial killer. Maybe he just chopped off 2 people's head. I shouldn't judge him. I should just walk by. He's not going to do that to me. No, judging people, and that is an extreme example, of course, but judging people is how we survive. I know they tell y'all we shouldn't judge. Those are stupid people. Get away from them. You should judge people. You should judge a book by its cover, because presentation is a thing too. This is the New Normal Podcast. I want to tell y'all, thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all make sure y'all like the video on y'all way out. And we gone.